count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this. 2, hello, check. How's it going, chat? I'm here. How's it going? Right on time. Right on time as usual, folks. We're back. Bon, thanks for the gifted sub to Kira V. Thank you for that. Right on time, 12 p.m. sharp. At the time that you can expect me to show up each and every day. As you know, folks, I do this show each and every day at this exact time, 12 p.m. That's what time it is right now. It's 12 o'clock somewhere, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? Some of you must be in time zones where it's 12 o'clock. One time a week streamer. I'll have you know this is my second stream this week, Dakadoon. Quote unquote Dakadoon, if that is your real name. Eventually, I am going to get to a place where I do the stream full time again, and I keep on making promises, and I'm not following through on them, and I apologize. Dimitri, hey Malaka, what's up? So since this is going to be a shorter one today, probably around 2 hours, going to try and cut short the chit chat a little bit. Having a little more car trouble. This whole used car journey for me has been a little more complicated than what I was originally hoping. I kind of thought everything was sorted. I got this Subaru. I got this, and it was great. It was a good deal. Like, passed the inspection. Been driving it around, totally okay. And then I mentioned the other day I was in Whitby, Ontario, and the starter died. I got stranded at a gas station in Whitby, Ontario, and it would not start. And I had to take that tow it to a garage in Whitby and get a new starter put in. And I drove it back to Montreal, and got me back. And then the next day when I went to drive it again, still some problems starting the car. Although now the problem was different. Before I was just turning the key and nothing was happening. Now the engine was turning on and it was turning over, but then it would die. And this happened in I went to get groceries, and this happened in the grocery store parking lot, and I was like, well, fuck. But then I was able to start it by giving it some gas. I gave it some gas when you're starting, and that kind of kick-started it. But I was like, this is not good. I don't think I can just rely on this trick to just go forward indefinitely, so I brought it back to another garage yesterday. And I guess what the issue was is there's some component in the engine, some like ventilation component, was like clogged with gunk. And my understanding of what had gone wrong was that the car computer had gotten accustomed to like the level of gunk that was in there. But then when the battery was reset, the computer was reset, and then the reset computer was like, what's all this then? What's all this then? And then it wouldn't work.
Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Blurp blurp. You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. Blurp blurp. Thank you for 10 gifted subs. That's so kind of you. And Twitch gives out 6 community subs. What's going on today with Twitch? Twitch actually being generous for once. Twitch actually like contributing to the stream rather than taking. Twitch just takes and takes and takes and never gives. Blurp blurp, thank you for 10 gifted subs. That's really, really kind of you. I appreciate that a lot. And apparently, if you gift 5 subs or more, Twitch is going to kick in a couple extras. So if anyone needs any extra incentive to support the show, support the stream, I guess that's one thing. Twitch is going to kick in some subs if you gift batch subs today. Anyway, so sorry about your car. It's okay. Honestly, it's still... I've had to do a few repairs. It's a little bit more expensive than what I originally thought. I still don't think it was a bad choice. Providing there's no other major issues. Should be okay. You know what they say about Australian engineering. I know. Those Aussies. They know how to do it. So yeah, apparently what this garage said was that the computer on the car had gotten used to a certain level of gunk and was like compensating for the gunk in the engine. But once I reset the battery and reset the computer, it was like, what's going on with this? And that's why it wasn't working. So they had to, for a while, they were like, we might have to replace this whole big part in the engine. It's going to be like super expensive. So I was like, oh, good. Great. I love that. I'm happy about that. But they took out this component of the engine, they cleaned it, and then they put it back, and they got the computer all synced up with it, and they were able to start it repeatedly, and it seems like it's working okay now. It was still, again, it was not cheap, it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't this big disaster, calamity. Now it does seem to be working. Let's keep our fingers crossed that this is the last such incident that I'm going to have to deal with. The good old turn it off and turn it back on trick, exactly. And also, then they did blow on it. Yeah, they blew the gunk out. It was like the car engine equivalent of like blowing on your NES cartridge. You just go blow it out all the dust and everything. They were gauging your reaction to the higher cost repair. Maybe that was part of it. This place did come recommended to me as a trusted garage. So anyway, that was what I was up to yesterday. As the cars run on just a large assembly of NES cartridges under the hood, and it's good. It's the Japanese engineering in our automobiles. You know, we love it. You see, we used the computer to mark up the size of the gunk. That's basically what happened. That's my understanding of what happened, yes. So that's what I was dealing with yesterday. How many kilometers are on it? Around 200k. It's 10 years old, 200k kilometers. But it's still in good shape. Like, should be good for a couple years, honestly. And I'm hoping these latest batch of repairs are the last ones I'll have to do. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that. That is what I was up to yesterday, though. So I do apologize for not being around. A Skynet-ass car. It's true. It is a Skynet-ass car. That's true. Let's hope from here it's all smooth sailing. It's the classic last words when you're talking about a used automobile that you've purchased. Was this more like a sludge or a thick stain? I guess more like a sludge, I think. Or like a dirt, like a gunk. I don't know. I'm just saying gunk. I think gunk is kind of like an all-encompassing descriptor here. Anyway, hopefully that is okay now. I'm really hoping it is. Late-ass streamer, Baby Bird Me Entertainment, funny man. Well, I'm trying. Orb lady. I'm here, okay? I'm here, aren't I? And I'm enjoying a nice Mountain Dew. I got some Mountain Dew Zero Sugar at the grocery store the other day, which I don't get very often, but it's quite a nice little treat. The ghost of Klippenstein on Twitter is clamoring for revenge. It's because I actually snitched on Ken when Ken posted that JD Vance document, the Oppo document. Instantly called Twitter support. Instantly called head office. Be like, you shouldn't tolerate this. This shouldn't be allowed. These are hacked. This man is disseminating hacked information. Instantly got in touch with them. Snitched for a new Subaru, exactly. So he was banned from Twitter, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Ken notoriously banned from many platforms, most notably the Insurgents Pub. Exactly. I love when more car-oriented type people just tell you to get in there and try to learn and repair it yourself. Like, every person has hours every day to dedicate themselves to diagnosing, replacing, and welding and all that shit. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to be happening. Like, my brother's a car guy, you know, big car guy, always been a car guy. And he was like, you know, trying to give me advice when I was getting this car. And he was giving me all kinds of advice. Like, but yeah, if you just, this is going to be a little more complicated to repair. But if you just do this and this, and like, you know, there's all these things you can do. I'm just like, it's not like, just, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not going to be doing any of this. I'm just not. It's just the reality for me. This, you know, you get to a certain age, the mold has been filled, you know? The mold has been filled, and my mold has no car information in it. You see 6 Torx bits, a Phillips screwdriver, a pry bar, ramps, and a MIG welding machine, idiot. Yeah. There are some things that are easy to do yourself. Well, I'm sure that that's true. Like, maybe I can become slightly more of a car guy. Himbos can't read tech manuals. No, that's right. And actually, my tech manual for my car is in French as well. So when I was like trying to like do what I could to diagnose whatever issue I was having, like looking, maybe, is it a fuse? Can I look in the fuse box? And the whole thing's in French. And listen, I can read in French, but like, when you're in a stressful situation and you need to have like important technical information, it was not good. It's just adding another layer of difficulty to it. How are there 17 subs already? Well, there are 17 subs because apparently today is Twitch is adding gifted subs for people that give batch subs. If you gift 5 subs or more today, Twitch is going to kick in a couple extra on top of that. So, you know, not telling anyone what to do, but if you do want to support this show, if you want to gift 5 subs or more, Twitch is going to contribute some of that as well. So rather than just taking and taking and taking from me, they're actually giving for once, which is kind of nice. As I was giving the Friday pizza party after firing all their support staff. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I get money from the gifted subs. I believe so. Yeah.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account. Chuga 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 chu 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 sugar chuso.
Thank you, Saint Lotus, for the 200 bits. I appreciate it. Anyway, that was my car saga. I still like my car. I still feel good about it. I still feel good about it. I will feel less good if I have to do more big repairs on it, but we will see how that goes. And, Kaudamalama. Can you scam the government, like get a subsidy for art and say that's the stream? I should. If we didn't defund all those things decades ago, that would be great. I think I should get grants from the Canadian government to do this show. I agree. I don't think it's impossible. And I wanted to get to your comment earlier as well. He said, what grinds my gears is there's no vehicle I can fit in the garage that I would also be comfortable driving with all those cars and trucks on the road. Supposedly it's a one-car garage, but actually it's several feet too narrow to park one in there and be able to fully open even the driver's door. That doesn't sound like much of a garage. That doesn't sound like much of a garage at all. You're supposed to do the whole point. You're supposed to be able to have a car in there. Can you write that apple off on your taxes as a business expense? At least 50% of your audience are here for the mukbang. We know this. That's true. I could expense all my apples and sodas, energy drinks. That would be smart. That's very smart. I could totally save like easily. I could get like 10, 20 bucks back from the government. Easily. And then I'm sitting pretty. Rob doesn't whittle his apples the way he used to. No, it's true. I've been eating them the traditional style lately. Rob took dozens of people to business 3 apple lunches. Deducted. This is why I'm a business genius. $10 to $20 is 10 to 20 apples to reinvest in the business. Now you're thinking with apples. There we go. You can set up some kind of perpetual apple situation where the apples start paying for themselves. Yeah, apple and noodle lunch. Paleo diet dining practice. No utensils allowed. That's right. I'm like Liver King. So grabbing stuff with my meaty paws.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Emax Money, thanks for the 18 months of Prime. I appreciate it. Very cool. Thank you. Is Liver King still alive? Somehow I believe he is. Yes. Even though it looks like if you poked him with a pin, his whole body would explode like a balloon. But somehow he's still going. It's performance art. Rob sits there and eats and we ridicule him. It's basically a public service. That's right. I log in here and everyone kind of mocks me and makes fun of me. And I get paid, and then I pass around a little hat. I pass around a little hat, and people contribute because they feel somewhat guilty for mocking me. What about that British guy with the all meat recipes? I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that guy. I know there's this one British guy on TikTok that's quite funny, where he's like, "Oh, I can't hit my protein," and then he's like, 1 gallon tub of cottage cheese. When he like flexes and then he eats like this huge thing of cottage cheese or whatever it is, and his parents are in the background being like, "What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?" We watched him on your stream. I have no recollection of that. I have a vague recollection of that, but not enough that I remember the actual specific guy. The British guy that made pizza with a chicken crust. I've seen a couple of those, yeah. Those kind of recipes are very popular. What did I have for dinner last night? I had Thai Express. I ordered some Thai Express last night. Little pad Thai. Which is not like super authentic. It's kind of like a fast food, like takeout Thai place. I don't know if you have those in your city, but it was alright. It hit the spot. Chicken in the crust or chicken instead of crust? Yeah, I see people like, they make like actual the dough, like they shred chicken or like even like chicken in a can or whatever and mix it with egg. And then like flatten it out. And you have this like chicken concoction that's almost like a bread, and then you put stuff on top of that. Ordering Thai Express, do you need to talk to someone? It is shaping canned chicken into a circle. That's what it is, yeah. I don't know, St. Lotus. It's definitely not as good as just ordering from a Thai restaurant. There's no denying that. But I don't know, I just wanted something quick and fast, and that's just what was there. Forget tomato sauce, got cream on that baby, absolutely. Absolutely. Imagine putting tomato sauce instead of cream on your chicken pizza. Your breadless chicken pizza. Couldn't be me. Could not be me. Only low T guys do that, exactly. Anyway, what else is there? What else is there to talk about? I don't know. I'm just looking forward to hanging out with my son tonight. That's going to be fun. He kind of kept me up quite a lot last night. I was having a lot of trouble sleeping, and then he contributed to that. Eventually, this guy's going to just sleep in his own room, in his own bed, right? Like, you know, you have like babies, and it's like, oh, the baby's a great sleeper. Oh, my baby wakes up at night. I'm 9 years into this thing. I'm 9 years into this thing, and we're still working on that. We're still working on sleeping through the night. Maybe eventually we're gonna get the handle on this one. You know? But I'm looking forward to hanging out with him tonight. We're gonna get our traditional Pizza Hut. As you know, we get Pizza Hut on Fridays over here. We've been watching, we keep watching the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie, you know, and there's some really good music in it. And now I have one of the songs from the Teen Titans Go to the Movies song. It's been just playing in my head because we drive to school in the morning and we're playing the songs in the car. And then it just reverberates in my brain for the entire rest of the day. It is really good. You've seen that, Dakadoon? It's a good movie. It is a good movie, and it's got really good music. Starfire, underrated fish out of water character. For sure, yeah. For sure. There's two really good songs. It's my movie, my superhero movie. There's that one, and there's the upbeat inspirational song about life in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie. And it's really good. See, Dakadoon knows what I'm talking about. I stumbled upon a mom and pop Thai spot recently that's changed my world with their tom kha soup. And Bon Bon says we discovered a non-chain Thai place near us with a near perfect rating. Now top of the list when deciding when to get takeout. It's interesting. Like there's a whole phenomenon of how the Thai government like subsidizes these restaurants. That's why there's Thai restaurants in like every small town across America and Canada. Because this is how it's like the Thai government's promoting their culture using like the culinary arts. It's the Thai soft power projection. Exactly, that's what it is. And I support it too because it's tremendous. I'm not complaining. That's why Canada has all the game developers. Just pay to win. Exactly. Rob drops a bunker buster bomb on my brain every stream and it destroys all my preconceived notions about Empire and 80s and 90s movies. What are you talking about specifically here, James? Teen Titans should go to the polls. Thank you, Crackety Kraken. I'm glad I got to that one as well. I think that's important. Way better than any American cultural export. I don't know. As you know, folks, I'm a sucker for a lot of American cultural exports. Even though America is the Fourth Reich, and it is an evil country, an evil demonic country, I'll be goddamned if I don't enjoy some of the culture, both in the food world and the film and television and books, music. You know, I can't help it. I like it. I like a lot of it. I can't help it. I wish I could. I wish I could just shut myself off to it. I like all that American slop, though. I do. Not all of it, obviously. And as you know, folks, I'm a pretty big critic of some of it as well. I'm a slave to the treats. I'm into the slop. What can I say? See, Dakadu, now the songs are stuck in your head. I just had to mention it once. And they're all stuck in your head now, too. Yeah, and he turns into Animal from the Muppets. That's a good little visual gag. I don't drink a lot of Mountain Dew, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. That was nice. Hopefully it'll wake me up a little bit. I'm very, very low energy. The Michael Bolton song is really good too. That might only be on the soundtrack. No, it's the upbeat, inspirational song about life. It's in the movie. It's really good too. It's really like a genuinely a good song. Rob's exhibiting two symptoms of depression: fatigue and ordering Thai Express. Well, if the shoe fits, you know. If the shoe fits. Doesn't Cyborg do it in the song? He starts, but then it becomes Michael Bolton midway through. Cyborg starts the song, but then they start introducing these kind of wacky characters. And one of them is Michael Bolton. It's always alarming to me to see right-wingers in the States where they start pushing this rhetoric that tolerance for trans people or DEI is literally what has destroyed the economy. Or immigrants. It's this bizarre moment of them unapologetically, knowingly becoming the Nazis, just refusing to accept that they're in the wrong. If that's the case, just powering through. Oh, well, I'm a Nazi now, I guess. I mean, it's just so cowardly to not blame the obvious powerful people in charge, you know? And to scapegoat these kinds of groups. It's just like, it's so intellectually dishonest and it's just cowardly. And that is like a key component of fascism too, isn't it? Where you kind of have this pseudo-revolutionary rhetoric about overthrowing the current order while all you're doing is just entrenching the current order even more. And also flattening out these class divides, you know? It's all in black shirts and reds. It's really interesting. There's a whole section of this play that was popular in Nazi-era Germany, where the young fascist idealistic kid is talking to his dad, who's this like kind of old, more socialist-leaning type, and talking about how they don't care about these class divides anymore, and it's all about everyone just doing what they can to support the country, you know? Can't blame up, so they gotta blame people with no power. Yeah, and then they come up with these like convoluted ideas about like they're the ones that have the power, the whole the powerful trans lobby. You know, it's these evil liberal Democrats and Soros bringing in all these refugees and just giving them homes and giving them phones and giving them money. Apparently, when you become a refugee to the United States, you just get a free house, you get a free phone. They just give you a credit card. The government just hands it to you when you cross the border. It seems like a pretty great deal. That's what I think. If these people were so concerned about that, I think they should just renounce all their possessions, leave the country, tear up their birth certificate, and then just come in as claim refugee status on the border. Apparently, you get everything taken care of. That's how you beat the system for one of these guys. You know? That's how you beat the system. Tear up your driver's license, tear up your birth certificate, tear up your passport, take a little trip down to Tijuana or something, go claim refugee status, and then Joe Brandon personally comes down, gives you a free home, for just a big burlap sack with a big dollar sign on it, just hands it over to you. Here you go, Jack. So many people believing that here in Canada too. I know, it's just delusional. It's just totally delusional. People that are coming into the country to fill jobs. The whole thing with Springfield is a good example of that. You know, where this town is like economically thriving because these immigrant communities have come there to like fill these vacant jobs. And then you have people making up all these crazy ass stories about them. No, it's what I never understood, Joey Stalin. Why aren't they lining up to do that since the benefits are so enticing? Yeah, with welfare. Just quit your job, you moron. Apparently it's so easy. Once you have no job, you easily just walk into the welfare store and go, 1 welfare, please. And they're like, here you go. And they just give you your welfare card and you just get everything for free. Apparently that's how it works to these people. Yeah, and that's true. It traces all the way back to Bill Clinton. And that's neoliberalism, isn't it? Imagine thinking non-white working class people get more from the government than literal millionaires and billionaires. Yeah. The people that control and monopolize the energy industry and the telecom industry and the media and the military industrial complex. Let's not look at the handouts that they're getting. Because that would actually be difficult to have that conversation. Fact-based comrade says legal immigration is good. Illegal immigration, not so much. Well, good thing it's so easy to immigrate to the United States of America. And that's a really simple process. While America is also out there economically destabilizing all of these places, leading people to need to immigrate in the first place. And then we chastise them. We chastise them for immigrating illegally. Why don't you just immigrate legally, stupid? Yeah, just no problem. Easy. Just immigrate legally next time. Why didn't they think of that? Why didn't they think of that? Just immigrate legally. I know. I get it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well, we've got a limited time today, so we should probably get into talking about the news and like this Netanyahu speech at the UN and everything, and talking a little bit about Israel now escalating this bombing campaign in Lebanon, even more bombing Beirut right now. No, what do you even say about that? What are we supposed to do with this? Who's going to do something to stop this? It's just getting crazy at this point. It's almost been a year. Like, that's weird, isn't it? September 27th. In a week and a half, folks, it's going to be October 7th. It's going to be one entire year of talking about this. A year of self-defense. That's the classic self-defense, when you defend yourself for an entire calendar year and murder tens of thousands of people. Do all these other countries have a right to defend themselves? No, they don't. No, they don't. Lebanon doesn't have the right to defend itself. Of course, Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves. Iran certainly doesn't have the right to defend itself. It's kind of interesting how that only goes in one direction, isn't it? Yeah, and once again, Yemen coming through as well. Yemen, as I pointed out months ago, and a lot of people got very upset, Yemen, one of the only countries in the world actually trying to uphold international law and human rights. Still. My compatriots are still majority pro-Israel, and I've never hated those pasty, racist, peasant-brained fucks more than I do now. Well, we're all surrounded by it, Diego. I mean, it's not just you. Speaking of One Direction, can we talk about the CIA PSYOP boy band saying they're Israeli and Palestinian? Yeah, this is what's going to heal the nation. It's what's going to heal the world. Did the Houthis finally learn why Americans don't have health care yet? Still no. They still have not learned. They still just have not figured this out. These pesky. The CIA would have shot Chapel Roan if this was the 90s. That's probably something we have to talk about also, right? Just like the absolutely deranged reaction to Chapel Roan making some like basic, what should be just like a basic non-controversial point of like, no, I'm not going to endorse the Democrats. Look what they're doing. And the pants shitting freakout that has ensued from this basic non-controversial point. Like people just like can't handle anyone, like no dissent allowed. You're like Hillary and Barack Obama and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they're our parents, and you're not allowed to say anything bad about them. A full unquestioning loyalty only, no criticism allowed. And she made the one mistake, if you could call it that I would make, is that she thinks that these arguments are being made in good faith or something like that, and she can like explain her position even more. These people don't care. The people that are getting upset about this, like, they don't give a shit. And she's saying, she does another follow-up video saying like, yeah, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris, but like, I'm not going to endorse them. Look at what they're doing and look at all the problems on both sides. And people are like, still no, because they don't care. There's no point in trying to like quantify that or explain that to people. You know, there's just no point. They don't care. It's full unquestioning loyalty, or you're a Republican, or you support Trump. Then I saw this guy, Zeke Taylor. I didn't even watch this video because I knew it was going to upset me. But then this guy, Zeke Taylor, this condescending shithead, he's like, I'm going to set this young woman straight. I haven't watched this. I'm sorry to torture you if you've seen this, but I haven't even watched it. But I knew I had to save it for this stream. Old Dutch, you should listen to Chaperone's album. It's very good. It's one of the best pop albums I've heard in a long time. It's excellent. Really good songwriter. Really, really good singer as well. Oh, are my degrees in the background? I hadn't noticed.
I just woke up.
Well, good morning.
Obviously, fuck the policies of the right.
All right, we're on the same page on that one.
But also, fuck some of the policies.
Why do you think to do this? It's just, God, it's so condescending. What is this? 10 seconds into this, I'm already so irritated by this.
On the left.
Oh, now you lost me.
That's why I can't, put my...
Except the Democrats are not the left. I guess that's one criticism you could make, but...
I mean, that's kind of how voting works right now in America.
So, yeah, I'm voting for fucking Kamala.
All right, we're back on the same page. It's pronounced Kamala, though.
You know what? Endorsing someone, if someone is publicly endorsing a political figure, that doesn't even mean that they're gonna fucking vote for them.
I mean, what's the strategy behind that? I mean, after the primaries, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think there's any benefit to a corporation or person endorsing a candidate in a general election and not actually doing it. So, you're losing me again.
No. This is not me playing both sides.
Sure about that?
I'm critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up.
Yep, sounds like you're playing both sides.
Voting is all we have right now in the system.
I mean, that kind of is the system of democracy, but yeah, there's a lot more you could do in between elections.
I encourage it.
What are you doing, buddy?
Vote for who, in your mind, is the best option for what we have right now.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is definitely our best option right now, as well as all the Democrats up and down the ballot.
And I hope this makes it
Great,
clear
buddy. Good job.
that no, I'm not picking the sides of what we have right now.
I mean, it kind of sounds like you've picked a side in terms of voting for Kamala Harris, but you just don't know much about the rest of the Democratic platform. But you can certainly read it.
Oh, the platform.
Yes.
This is it's worth pointing out, this condescending dude that's doing this video and all the people that are quote tweeting and engaging with these videos that she's putting out, they're sponsoring a genocide. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. It's been a year of seeing nonstop horrific footage of dead kids, bodies blown to bits, buildings being just razed, residential neighborhoods being razed. There's Beiruts being bombed right now as we speak. This all being totally funded by the Democratic Party. And you have some pop star being like, I don't want to endorse this. You have all these people being like, I'm not comfortable with this. And these people being like, well, that's your only option right now. It's it's insane to me. This partisan brain rot that sets in when you've accepted that this is the only thing that can happen in this system. You've just got to vote for these guys no matter what they do. There's no matter what they do. And you can't criticize either. Don't criticize. Don't criticize. Only vote. Only endorse. And she even said that she's voting for her. And people are, it's still not enough for them.
One's obviously better than the other.
All right, we're kind of getting back on the same page again.
But Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh boy.
I hope you don't settle for what we have and put your name behind someone that you don't fully trust.
I fully trust that Kamala Harris and all the Democrats up and down the ballot are going to protect democracy and make this country a better place.
You are a child. You're a child. You're literally, you have the brain of a child. And in front of all his degrees, it's so condescending. This like smug fuck, you know? It's like, it's just unbelievable. I fully trust Kamala Harris and all the Democrats up and down the ballot are going to protect democracy and make this country a better place. And again, what we're talking about here is like the Democratic Party co-sponsoring a like genocidal mass murder campaign. Like this is not, oh, I wish their climate policy was better. Which is also a totally valid reason to criticize this party. I'm not suggesting that it isn't. Oh, I wish their climate policy was better. I wish they would stop the focus on law and order in prisons and giving money to police. Like these are all totally valid criticisms of the Democratic Party, but it's like they're co-sponsoring the mass murder of little kids. You know? That's the thing that's a hang up for some people. For a whole generation of people, they don't want to support that. They don't want to support a party that is like sending bombs to a country that's just completely out of control and dropping these bombs on little kids sleeping in tents for a year straight. Protect democracy, but in 4 years, democracy is somehow mysteriously going to be an issue again. That's how democracy works, apparently, according to this guy. Every 4 years, you got to show up to protect it. Otherwise, it goes away. Unless you go vote for these specific people, no matter what they do or say. No matter what they do or say, no matter what their policies are. And he's talking about the platform as well. Oh, have you looked at the platform? Oh, sorry, excuse me, the platform. Oh, my mistake. Look at all these wonderful things that they're going to be implementing. This Zeke Taylor guy is an anesthesiologist, which is accurate because he's putting me to sleep. How many fucking degrees do you need to be an anesthesiologist? Like, Jesus. This kid doesn't know about the platform. Like, and again, this is all over a pop star being like, I don't want to endorse this party. Yeah, I guess I'll vote for them. I don't want to endorse them. And this like this completely reasonable opinion. The fact that like both parties have a lot of corruption and both parties have a lot of bad things that they support, which maybe even a couple years ago felt like it was a totally normal thing to believe and talk about. It's outraged people so much. I think it's 2 degrees, but the other tickets are probably for board certification. Well, maybe. But it certainly allows him to like posture. Oh, as you can lecture a pop star in her 20s about how she doesn't understand how democracy works. That's democracy. Every 4 years you vote for these one guys. This one group of guys and girls. You just vote for this one team every 4 years. That's what democracy is, lady. Don't you know that? Epic clapback, sir. Exactly. He showed her, and it's so smug. Great talking with you, Chaperone. Call me anytime. What an absolute nerd. But it's not just this guy. It's like all the overall reaction to her and these basic non-controversial comments she was making has just been completely unhinged. First, they came for the Palestinians, and as a liberal, I said nothing since speaking up only helps Trump win. Exactly. He's going to do genocide +1. Don't you understand? Don't you understand that? The entire apparatus demands loyalty. No, but this is like the crazy thing to me. This like it's cult-like, you know? It's this cult-like obsession with these political people, these political figures. No criticism allowed. No dissent allowed whatsoever. You vote for them and you support them and you shut the fuck up, or else you're helping the other guys. And then Netanyahu's addressing the UN. Netanyahu's addressing the UN while they've been engaging in this genocide for the last year straight, and while they're also bombing Beirut. I don't know if I can watch the whole thing. Is there highlights? We're certainly not going to watch an entire 32 minutes of Benjamin Netanyahu. Loyalty to a party that despises the vast majority of its supporters, along with most of humanity. And he's at the UN, which is supposed to be a vehicle to allow countries to dissent against this kind of thing, making the exact same case about Lebanon and Beirut, talking about Lebanon exactly the way they talk about Gaza. Claiming there's no civilian spaces in Lebanon and Israel has a right to destroy all of it in self-defense.
They fired those rockets and missiles after they placed them in schools, in hospitals, in apartment buildings, and in the private homes of the citizens of Lebanon. They endanger their own people. They put a missile in every kitchen, a rocket in every garage. I said to the people of Lebanon this week, get out of the death trap that Hezbollah has put you in. Don't let Nasrallah drag Lebanon into the abyss. We're not at war with you. We're at war with Hezbollah, which has hijacked your country and threatens to destroy ours.
And of course, like also encouraging people to leave their homes and go to Beirut, which is now being bombed as well. It's just completely psychotic. There was a lot of walkouts as well at his speech.
Israel and the conflict that is now the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, about to address the General Assembly. Let's listen in.
Ladies and gentlemen, order.
Look at that.
Order, please.
What we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people walking out of the General Assembly, and the moment in which Benjamin Netanyahu walked in to address to give his address, perhaps a sign, a bit of taking of the temperature as to how
hijacked your country by winning parliamentary seats and pushing out occupying powers.
Talking of Israel and the conflict that is now the Prime Minister.
You know, and it's a disgrace that he's speaking at the UN in the first place, but that's at least something. I just wanted to look at this thing. There's this whole thing with Iran, the curse and the blessing. I smell sulfur right here in this room, exactly. I can't seem to find a video. Yeah, he's bringing props. He's bringing props to the UN. The curse and the blessing. Let me see if I can find the moment in the speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Israel defends itself against Iran in the Seven Front War, the line separating the blessing and the curse could not be more clear. This is the map.
He does have a history of
presented
stupid
here
cartoons
last
and
year.
props.
It's a map of a blessing. It shows Israel and its Arab partners forming a land bridge connecting Asia and Europe between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea.
These like comprador
we will
U.S.
lay
puppets,
rail
U.S.
lines.
client states are just like, please leave us out of this. We're having a hard enough time keeping things in order as it goes already. Please do not include us in these props. You're not helping anything. It is manifest
Energy
destiny.
pipelines, fiber optic cables, and this will serve the betterment of 2 billion people. Now look at this second map. It's a map.
Yeah, it's upside down, you
Look at
fuck.
the second map. It's a map of a curse. It's a map of an arc of terror that Iran has created and imposed from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean. Iran's malignant arc has shut down international waterways. It cuts off trade. It destroys millions, destroys nations from within, and inflicts misery on millions. On the one hand,
It's the garden and the jungle.
a future of hope. On the other hand, a dark future of despair.
It's
And
the
if you
wall,
think
the
this
walled
dark
garden
map-
that's defending the West from the Asiatic hordes. It's right here in this handy diagram. Syria can be carpet bombed right now, and liberals will still clutch pearls over Assad. I mean, what a touchy subject that is, Alexandro, but worth examining, I think, a little bit. The people that fixated on that so much to prove their credentials and in their support for human rights and all this stuff.
Is only a curse for Israel. If you think that, then you should think again. Because Iran's aggression, if it's not checked, will endanger every single country in the Middle East and many, many countries in the rest of the world. Because Iran seeks to impose its radicalism well beyond the Middle East. That's why it funds terror networks on 5 continents. That's why it builds ballistic missiles for nuclear warheads to threaten the entire world. For too long, the world has appeased Iran. It turns a blind eye to its internal repression. It turns a blind eye to its
Brandon,
external repression.
always projection.
Well, that appeasement must end. And that appeasement must end now. Nations of the world should support the brave people of Iran who want to rid themselves of this evil regime. Responsible governments should not only support Israel in rolling back Iran's aggression, they should join Israel. They should join Israel in stopping Iran's nuclear weapons program.
Contrast this with Iran's speech,
this
and you can see
body
who
and the
between the two is the sick, brain-wormed piece of shit. Who's clapping? Well, Jules, there was a mass walkout when he took the stage, so there was a bunch of they brought in some ringers to clap and applaud. They brought in some genocide fanboys to come in and fill the empty seats because so many people walked out. I don't know how you let Hitler walk in anywhere peacefully. I think a lot of this stuff, like Biden hugging Netanyahu on October 20th after they bombed the hospital, Netanyahu speaking to Congress, Netanyahu speaking to the UN. History is not maybe it's going to take time, but history is not going to look kindly on this. This is going to think that future generations are going to look at and be like, "What the fuck was going on?" And that's something I really do firmly believe, even if it's not this generation or the next generation. I know eventually history is going to look back on that moment and be like, what a disgrace that was.
You can count on me.
In the
You're going to
name
have
of
good
God,
old
the most
Rob
gracious,
to
the
talk you
most
through all this.
Sikalufakis, thanks for the 32 months of Prime. I appreciate it.
Most merciful. Mr. President, Excellencies, I extend my sincere congratulations both on the opening of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly and to you, Mr. President, on your well-deserved election. I trust that the crucial themes of this session, peace, sustainable development, and human dignity, will illuminate.
It is interesting that he was in NYC when they bombed Beirut.
Future generations. Last year, the devoted president of my country, Ibrahim Raisi, addressed you from this very podium. He was martyred in the service of the Iranian people. May his soul rest in peace. This is my first time addressing you as the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a position I assumed after the Iranian people voted for my central campaign platform of national empathy. This guiding principle is rooted in the command of the Almighty God as set forth in the Holy Quran. According to the teachings of the Quran, mankind was...
How did Bisan win an Emmy while the genocide he's covering is still on? Exactly, that's the way you can kind of wash your hands of it.
Books down along with them to bring the truth so as to decide among mankind concerning whatever they have.
We'll support the brave journalists, but we'll do nothing to actually stop Israel from doing this.
Given disagreed about it out of envy towards one another after explanations had been brought to them. Imam Ali, peace be upon him, instructed one of his governors to embrace the people with all your heart, show them kindness, and extend your compassion towards them. Never treat those under your command with harshness or violence, for people fall into two categories. They're either your brothers in religion or equals in creation. The mission of all prophets has been to establish and promote truth and justice in society among all people, regardless of color, race, gender, or language. Peace and security in the world will not be achieved unless the rights of all individuals, communities, and nations are upheld with justice and fairness. Let's ask ourselves, are the roots of war and bloodshed we see in today's world anything other than the fact that aggressors have violated the rights of others, overlooked the rights of nations, enforced discrimination and inequality, kept certain groups weak and underdeveloped, and disregarded the rights of individuals? As long as injustice, oppression, greed, poverty, and ignorance prevail in any region, violence and conflict will continue. Unless we confront the root causes of such disorders, we cannot rescue the future of our children from darkness and destruction. Mr. President, I embarked on my electoral campaign with a platform focused on reform, national empathy, constructive engagement with the world, and economic development, and was honored to gain the trust of my fellow citizens at the ballot box. I aim to lay a strong foundation for my country's entry into a new era, positioning it to play an effective and constructive role in the evolving global order. My objective is to address existing obstacles and challenges while structuring my country's foreign relations in cognizance of the necessities and realities of the contemporary world. Mr. President, over the past year, the world has witnessed the true nature of the Israeli regime. It has witnessed how the regime carries out atrocities in Gaza, and in 11 months has murdered in cold blood over 41,000 innocent people, mostly women and children. Its leaders label this genocide, the killing of children, war crimes, and state terrorism as legitimate self-defense. They label hospitals, kindergartens, and schools as legitimate military targets. They label the freedom-loving and
I know ML Thoughtism, but you can't feel guilty about it,
as anti-Semitic.
I know it's hard to go about your basic responsibilities.
Turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hello, Capri Sun, Pappy. Welcome, Raiders. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for. May I call you Pappy? May I call you Pappy? It's Rob. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. Bring it on in here, Raiders. I'm happy to have you. How was the Capri Sun Pappy stream today? I hope it was good. Please smash the follow button over here if you want to join this community and support this show. totally free of charge. We're just watching some of these UN speeches, and then we were going to probably focus a little bit more on this bombing of Beirut that's going on right now, which is absolutely horrifying. I forgot to give them a raid message. They're all disjointed now. They're disjointed. There's all kinds of disparate messages going on. That's okay. I really appreciate the raid. Thanks for that. Yeah, you see that Netanyahu speech at the UN? The blessing and the curse? Sometimes these guys really spell it out, don't they? They really spell it out. He's literally holding up a diagram of like the walled garden defending the West from the Asiatic hordes, in case it wasn't clear enough. They're really just like spelling that out for everybody. And I was talking about how I think in the future it's going to be really shocking to see these images of Netanyahu, like speaking at the UN, speaking at US Congress, hugging Joe Biden on October 20th or whatever it was. I think this is something that even as the generations go on is going to be really genuinely shocking to people, to be like, how the fuck was this allowed to happen? Anyway, we're just watching a little bit of the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. Probably need some work on the pronunciation of that. We're just watching a little bit about that speech, and then we're going to go ahead and look a little closer at some of this footage, this like shocking and horrifying footage from Beirut. So thanks again for joining the stream, folks. Once again, it's me, Rob Rousseau. Please smash the follow button if you can. It's one way to support this program. And I'll also remind people while you're here, whether you're a new chatter, viewer, listener, whatever, or you're a part of the community already, Twitch right now kicking in a little extra for batch subs. So if anyone feels generous and wants to gift 5 subs or above, Twitch is going to pitch in a little bit as well for once. For once, they're going to help us out a little bit. So if you can, please subscribe. It's very helpful, and I appreciate it a lot. And once again, Twitch is going to contribute a little bit for anyone that's very generously gifts 5 subs or above. Just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing it out there for you, folks.
Against 7 decades of occupation and humiliation as terrorists. It is Israel that has assassinated our scientists, diplomats, and even guests on our soil, and supported both covertly and overtly terrorist groups like ISIS. Iran, in contrast, has supported popular liberation movements of people that have been victims of 4 generations of the crimes and colonialism of the Israeli regime. We have been siding with the people.
This is all pretty reasonable.
Who have flooded the streets in.
Oh shit! Big Maskington.
Talk you through all this.
Big Maskington, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs. That's what I'm talking about. I really, really appreciate that.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Big Maskington. I don't know why it's doing all the separate alerts.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I don't know why it's doing all these separate alerts. Are we going to get... There we go.
Elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
There we go. Big Maskington, thanks again for 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate it. And Twitch, once again, coming through. I'm not really not used to this generosity from this platform. Can we count on you, good old Rob, to walk us through all this and talk you through all this? Indeed, yes. I found he overall had a very mild, measured speech compared to many others at the GA. I mean, and they get framed as being these like ranting, raving, delusional terrorists, and then you actually hear what they have to say, and it's like, what is actually the issue with any of this? I don't know. This all seems pretty reasonable.
An elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh wow, no context, Gus. Thank you for 5 gifted subs as well. Very, very cool.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Very, very cool. No context, Gus. I really appreciate it. And Twitch once again coming through. Wow. Crazy.
Outrage
ASMR politics. That's kind of my whole thing. Yeah, that's right.
Israeli crimes against humanity. It is imperative that the international community should immediately stop the violence and bring about a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and bring an end to the desperate barbarism of Israel in Lebanon before it engulfs the region and the world. Israel has been defeated in Gaza, and no amount of barbaric violence can restore its myth of invincibility.
Yeah, I mean, definitely measured. It's just, it's just insane when the president of the country that's like undergoing this nonstop barbarity for an entire year straight is able to go out there and make this case at the UN using his props, doing his Carrot Top style prop comedy. And then the people we're supposed to be hating and fearing are just talking, like, centering the fact that they're the aggressive party, you know? And it seems like this radical revolutionary idea to point this out. No, they're actually the ones that are being aggressive. They're not defending themselves, but it's only coming from these places that we're told to hate and fear and mistrust. He went on to talk directly to the U.S. people about imagining if the sanctions on medicine and supplies were flipped and how they would feel, which of course Americans handled super normally. Yeah, exactly. Americans, very, very generous people, very generous and empathetic people that really understand these kinds of arguments. Insane. Just pure insanity. An entire year of insanity.
This news is funded by viewers like
Let's hear
you.
from Amy
Please
Goodman.
support our work at democracynow.org.
We're not indoctrinated to a cartoonish degree at all. Again, when we talk about this like always projection thing, every accusation a confession, it's not just about Israel. This is a imperialist tactic as well. And there's no greater example of this than the United States of America pointing its fingers around the world at all these brainwashed populations. They're just brainwashed by state propaganda all day. Not us, though. Not us, though. Not us good old-fashioned Americans. Not in the good old US of A. Totally immune to propaganda over here. Not like these like brainwashed automatons in DPRK or China or wherever else. I'm sorry if you're American. You know, I know many Americans and I like many Americans. I'm friend with many Americans. Overall, like extremely delusional people, though. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? We're different because it's corporations, not the government. Yeah. We have freedom propaganda, which is better. Exactly. Thank you.
.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We go now to Lebanon, where Israeli strikes have already killed at least 25 people today, including a family of 9 in the border town of Shabah, bringing the death toll to over 700 since Israel began its indiscriminate bombing on Monday. Israel's strikes follow a series of explosions involving booby-trapped pagers and walkie-talkies in Beirut. And
the way that totally got normalized and papered over and hand-waved away is just insane to me.
37 people and injured more than 3,500.
And I think we can talk about this pager attack as well. And we talked about it at the time, but I think it's worth pointing out. This was like a deliberate assault on Lebanese healthcare workers. And this whole thing about like Hezbollah pagers was just complete bullshit from moment one. This was a deliberate attack to like injure and maim and kill Lebanese healthcare workers, primarily, who were some of the main victims of that. It's just absolutely disgraceful and disgusting.
In an apparent flip-flop, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel shares the aims of the U.S.-led initiative for a temporary ceasefire, which has also been backed by France, by Canada, by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by the European Union, and others. This comes after Netanyahu had publicly rejected the ceasefire proposal and vowed Israel will carry on with full force attacks on Lebanon. Netanyahu spoke Thursday as he landed here in New York, where he's scheduled to address leaders of the UN General Assembly.
My policy, our policy is clear. We are continuing to hit Hezbollah with full force, and we will not stop until we achieve our goals.
We're hitting Hezbollah in full force, and as he described in that UN speech, Hezbollah is every single residential building and hospital and school. It's all Hezbollah, just the way that, in the exact same way that Gaza all the residential buildings and schools and hospitals are all Hamas. We're hitting Hezbollah, and that means we're leveling blocks of residential buildings and schools and civilian infrastructure.
First and foremost, returning the residents of the north safely to their homes.
Netanyahu's remarks came as the Israeli military reiterated its troops are preparing for a possible ground invasion of Lebanon if tensions continue to escalate. Earlier today, Israeli tanks and armored vehicles were seen crossing Israel's northern...
And good point, Old Dutch, American and Canadian populations, as much as we talk about Americans being largely a nation of brainwashed hogs, let's not leave out Canada in that as well. Also, as Old Dutch says, politically illiterate as a deliberate outcome of miseducation and infantilizing media class. Very deluded people. No argument there. Completely agree. Let's not just point our fingers at the US of A. Canada, extremely ignorant and delusional people as well.
Border into Lebanon. Meanwhile, Lebanese officials say the number of displaced people fleeing Israel's attacks has likely surpassed 250,000, with tens of thousands sheltering in evacuation centers, in schools that have been closed in Beirut and across Lebanon. Speaking at the UN General Assembly Thursday, the Lebanese Foreign Minister, Abdallah Bouhabib, urged all parties to agree to a ceasefire. He said the worsening violence threatens Lebanon's
Canadians are
very existence.
Slightly less bad. It doesn't matter.
US
Thank you.
Proposal
That's
for
how it works,
temporary
Brandon.
truce was an opportunity to generate momentum to take steps towards ending the crisis.
يعيش لبنان هذه الأيام أزمة تهدد وجوده.
Lebanon is living through a crisis that threatens its very existence. The future of our people and our prosperity are in peril, and this is a situation that requires international intervention on an urgent basis before the situation spirals out of control with a domino effect, making the crisis...
Canada pushing for a temporary 21-day ceasefire. And that's supposed to happen on day 22. The bombing just starts back up again. That's been the whole ceasefire thing in Gaza as well, right? The ceasefire. It's a ceasefire so Hamas and Hezbollah can give up all their leverage and voluntarily disarm before the genocide continues. The other Sarah Jessica says, as a Canadian, thank you, we're a big player in this colonial horror. We never want to forget that. And I'm Canadian as well, obviously. Something I always try to keep in mind and remind people of. Because a lot of people have... in this country and sometimes around the world have delusional ideas about what Canada's role is in these things and what our ideology is and what our values are. And we like to try and, break that down for people as much as possible.
Crisis impossible to contain. It will be impossible to extinguish the flame of this crisis.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
There's good old maple syrup guzzling peacekeepers. Thank you. Brandon, thanks for 5 gifted subs. That's really kind of you, man. Thank you.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate that. And make sure everyone please follow Powerless Pod. It's a fantastic show that I've been on a couple of occasions. Our values is a Molson commercial. Our whole culture was created in a ad campaign for coffee, a bad coffee chain, and beer. Our entire culture.
Form into a black hole that will engulf regional, international peace and security. The crisis in Lebanon threatens the entire Middle East if the situation remains as it currently is and if the world remains immobile.
As the Biden administration claims it backs a ceasefire in Lebanon, Israel says it's set to receive a new military aid package from the United States totaling some $8.7 billion. For more, we go to Beirut, where we're joined by Mona Fawaz, professor of urban planning at American University of Beirut. She's also an activist. Welcome to Democracy Now! Can you talk about what's happening on the ground with tens of thousands of people taking shelter in schools and other places, 250,000 people displaced? You yourself are involved with helping to house people. What's happening?
Hi, Amy, and thanks for covering all of this. So really everyone here in Beirut is actually in Lebanon is under extreme duress. Since Monday, we've had the Ministry of Health just announced 747 deaths That is, in 3 days, actually, more than half the people killed back in 2006 during the entire war. That means that people fled the south really very, very quickly in the Beqa. And so the normal trickle down is instead huge flows of people who were traveling across stranded roads, spending hours and hours on trips that normally would just take 45 minutes. And of course, people are fleeing because they've just been watching for a whole year a genocide unfold in Gaza. And they've been hearing members of the Israeli political class and the generals repeating over and over again that they're turning Beirut into another Gaza. So that means that people are really scared, and Israel is pounding the south and the Beqa with one raid after another. And they're also deploying all sorts of tactics to scare people, throwing leaflets, taking over the public phone station to robot call people and issue calls telling everyone to evacuate our classrooms, our homes. Everyone was getting these calls on Monday and Tuesday. So it's really a lot of stress that you have to deal with in the background of a country that for the last 11 years have suffered one shock after the other. So that population, one in five of whom is actually still a Syrian refugee, has also lost 80% of its population is below the poverty line since we went bankrupt in 2019. We haven't had a president for 2 years now, actually. So there is, we have had to basically try and help each other in a context which is really very severe. And as you pointed out, the schools are closed, our kids are home because the schools are being used in shelter. 1 in 2 schools in Beirut.
The footage is just crazy
right now, and more than 40% of all the public schools in Lebanon have been turned into shelter. And it's getting closer and closer to us. I mean, Israel does these so-called targeted assassinations, which sadly much of the Western press has been
these targeted assassinations where they target entire city blocks
in fact,
with U.S. supplied bombs.
Targeting everyone, it's touching everyone. Just yesterday there was an attack.
The targeted attack of the thousands of pagers that they had no possible way of knowing where they were, who had them. These targeted attacks. It's so fucking gross. And again, these are all tactics that were refined during the War on Terror, and the United States has used these tactics as well. We remember the surgical strikes during the Obama era. The surgical strikes. And that's the thing. It's like sometimes we talk a lot about Israel, and we obviously should, but like we need to acknowledge the fact that like it's the United States that has been the head of this, and it's still currently, even if it sometimes seems like the tail wagging the dog or whatever, we know that's the United States that's funding all of this and supporting all of this, and have used all of these tactics themselves that Israel now uses.
And it wounded one of my architecture students, and a 4th-year architecture student at the American University of Beirut. So, I mean, these are not fighters, these are civilians. She just lived on the wrong street because Israel decided to do that. Last Monday's attack killed about 50 people. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to show the extent to which people are trying to get involved, make a difference, help each other, but really in a very, very difficult context. And yes, of course, most of the people I know are actually involved in trying to help people. So most of us are sheltering family members or friends or people we know.
The civilian casualties are too high from drone bombing. Just changed the definition of who is a civilian. All the military-aged males, right? All the military-aged males. They don't count. They don't count as being civilians.
In our own homes. We also are fundraising for the civil defense because Israel's been actually targeting ambulances, claiming that the wounded are fighters, but that means that the civil defense, which is basically the first responders, are losing their lives and their ambulances. And so we're trying to fundraise for them. We're trying to fundraise for medications. And because I work in the lab that normally we do a lot of urban visualization on housing and rent. We're actually really mapping the violence and then also all the schools schools and trying to coordinate the action of solidarity by showing where the schools are, who can take aid where, so as basically the university can play that role of coordination and support for solidarity movements.
Israel says it's warned tens of thousands of people, I think even the information minister of Lebanon, to move. They say anyone who's living near a Hezbollah facility or where weapons are stored. How do people know this, Professor Fawaz?
Of course, people cannot know where Hezbollah has weapons. And of course, Israel can claim anything it wants.
Yeah, they're underground.
They've been sending bombs in all sorts of neighborhoods and areas of the country where it's very unlikely that Hezbollah has any weapons. And the point is to basically set people against the party and to basically make it seem as if the war is just the result of Hezbollah's belligerence. In practice, there has been ridiculous videos showing people hiding weapons under their mattresses. It's actually really condescending cartoons oriented towards the Lebanese people, telling them, hey, you know the person who hid the bomb under your sofa? Do you remember that guy? He was a Hezbollah. This is ridiculous. I mean, people don't know, and that is actually increasing the fear. And it's basically meant to be divisive because the Lebanese society at the base is already quite divided on many issues, and also to put people under more duress to just say, okay, we surrender, you can do whatever you want. No one can ever say no to mighty Israel and its sponsors.
Finally, you're a professor of urban planning. Can you explain the scale of the destruction in Lebanon due to Israel's attacks right now? You're documenting the frequency of the attacks, the demolition of infrastructure. We just have a minute.
Well, since last October, we have been documenting the strikes on a daily basis and showing where they go and how, and our evidence is very clear. It shows that Israel has hit Lebanon until last week 4 times more often and way deeper. In the last week, of course, the numbers have gone up the roof, and it is impossible to count how much of the demolition has actually happened. So we are working to geosat that, because as in previous wars, we will have to support the effort of reconstruction. But some of the villages on the edges of Lebanon are basically fully flattened.
I want to thank you for being with us. Mona Fawaz, please stay safe, professor of urban planning at the American University of Beirut. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.
Yeah, and here's this illustration of these Hezbollah missiles. Very convincing. What more evidence do you need that we need to bomb all these residential blocks? Look at that. What more evidence do you need that we need to blow up all these apartment buildings and homes and schools and hospitals? Look at that. It's clear as day. What more possible evidence would you need? And here's this is what it looks like. These are precision bombs. Precision bombings. These targeted strikes. It doesn't look up to code, Lucid. No, it doesn't. It's just insane.
هياها قدامي هياها هياها صاب المخيمات هون على هيدا على العاملين مخيم البرج هياها هياها قدامي هياها.
Like, it's insane to imagine living through this. And I don't know, what are these places supposed to do? You're just supposed to sit back and take it. You're just supposed to sit back and take it. And when you do anything, you don't get this veil of self-defense that protects you. Yeah, it's true. Like, Reagan would be a lesser evil today. Reagan has a more progressive policy on this objectively than the Biden and Harris administration. Which is just totally fucked. Don't Lebanese people have dual citizenship? Can't they just take a flight out of the country to a vacation home? Yeah, exactly. What's the problem? And meanwhile, the United States is like, they're putting out messages about their embassy just being like, no, you're on your own. Here's a friend of the show, Rania Kalik, at one of the rallies yesterday.
Enough of the media lying about this destruction. Every day Israel terrorizes our people. They say Israel's acting in self-defense. Genocide is self-defense. And that we're the terrorists because our resistance is hitting their military stations. We're the terrorists. That's what they say. Netanyahu is a terrorist. Biden is a terrorist. And Vice President Kamala Harris, who has been silent since Lebanon has been bombed and has backed Israel 100%, is a terrorist. They want us to submit or die. That's what their ceasefire proposals say. But our people will not submit, and they will refuse to die. They will always fight back. Enough of the media.
She's right and she should say it. They cut their American embassy staff loose. Does anyone... Okay, so someone linked the tweet earlier from the embassy. Let me see if I can just find it. This? Someone linked it earlier and I lost it somehow. Oh yeah, here we go. Look. They're not cutting their embassy staff loose, but they're saying, like, you're on your own to people that are U.S. citizens in Beirut. The U.S. Embassy is not evacuating U.S. citizens at this time. There is a commercially available flight that U.S. citizens who expressed interest in departing Lebanon will have to book and pay directly with the airline. And it goes like this whole thing of Joe Biden, we're going to protect Americans if Americans are in trouble. When your ally is carpet bombing potential Americans, it's like, yeah, just get an airline ticket or something. I don't know. Can I get a voucher? Also no. Yeah. There are U.S. intelligence planes in the air for these strikes, so they must have known ahead of time. Of course they did. Of course they knew ahead of time. This is 3 days ago.
كان
المتوافدين على المستشفيات هن من المدنيين وبينهم عدد كبير من.
That was from 3 days ago. Why should Biden even pretend to care about American lives? He's not going to be president in a month. Yeah, who cares?
Country had already been plunged. And Dorsa, maybe you could just give us some of the context around the kind of conditions, circumstances, challenges that
Not my problem, Jack.
had already been facing. Country had already been plunged into an economic crisis. You know, their health system under enormous strain. That just to deal with some of the pager and walkie-talkie attacks, you know, they had to seek medical expertise and aid from other countries in the region. What are people saying about what has just happened in Beirut tonight, and how the country might cope with something on this scale?
I think many people here that I've seen over the past 2 hours are still in shock. This is the biggest single attack
I've got no empathy for it.
that they have witnessed in this country's recent history. Many people saying they heard the explosion, they felt it in other parts of the capital. And really, yet again, they're reminded that their country is no longer just basically in a conflict with Israel, but they are at war with Israel. That is how the Lebanese people feel. Now, these attacks have become a daily occurrence in the suburb of Dahya, which is about 7 kilometers from where I'm standing. Dahya is home to roughly about 700,000 people. It is heavily populated, densely populated neighborhood within the southern suburb of the capital. This latest attack appears to be at least 10 missiles used, bunker busters used to target at least six buildings in this area. Many people say that it is
seriously, Joe. It's like it's hard to form words about it anymore, isn't it? What more is there to say?
Very disturbing footage emerged from the scene of cars being completely dug into the ground, and we are waiting for a statement from Hezbollah. Of course, we have heard statements come out of Israeli army officials, but we are yet to hear from Hezbollah about who might have been at one of these buildings. It is very clear that the Israelis have a mission, and they are not concerned with any kind of civilian casualties. We spoke to residents of Dahya over the past few days, and they said that about 80% of the people who could afford to leave have done so. They no longer felt safe in this neighborhood. There are people I met along the Corniche earlier today while we were filming, and they told me they were from Dahya. I said, "Why are you here?" They said they have nowhere else to go, and they don't feel safe.
Duke, I mean, if Israel was any country in the global south, we would have invaded by now. I mean, not even the global south. Like, this just would not be tolerated from anybody. You know, it's just absolutely psychotic the way that they've been given full carte blanche to do basically whatever they want. I don't know. It's just like, it's deeply fucked. It's just insane.
This is, of course, one of the main targets, one of the main goals of Israel by launching this unprecedented wave of airstrikes on Lebanon, not only in the suburb of Dahya, but also across the country, in the south of Lebanon, in the east, Bekaa Valley, as well as points north of Beirut that have been targeted. Israel says that they are targeting the Hezbollah weapons depots because they claim the Hezbollah is storing weapons in civilian homes, and they are going to continue to target them regardless of who is caught in the crossfire. The medical infrastructure here is at the brink. We spoke to the head of the emergency.
Yeah, risk adverse. I mean, it's all actions of an empire in decline, right? That doesn't mean it isn't dangerous, though.
Emergency in Lebanon with supplies to last for 1 month. Now we are already 1 week into.
They're targeting civilians. Well, Duke, I mean, Netanyahu just spoke at the UN today, saying like that all these Hezbollah missiles are in all the schools, all the homes, all the hospitals. So when they say we're attacking Hezbollah, they're just attacking all the civilian infrastructure. It's the identical rhetoric that they're using about Lebanon as they're using about Gaza for the last year and the last 70 years. say we're doing these targeted strikes against Hezbollah and they're just blowing up city blocks and hospitals and schools, which is apparently okay to do. Or we're circulating thousands of exploding pagers that blow the faces off of like nurses and doctors and other non-combatants, but they're Hezbollah pagers, so it's okay. Like, it's insane how these words have been used to just justify whatever monstrous crime you can. As long as you say Hamas or Hezbollah, you can just do whatever you want, apparently, with zero restrictions. Kids who are pocket height. Even shorter time between using this playbook than last time. Yeah.
Conflict, this escalation, unprecedented. Hundreds of thousands of Lebanese have been displaced from their home. According to Save the Children, 170,000 children have been displaced and they are suffering from severe trauma. According to UNICEF, this crisis is now a full-on catastrophe. So the emergency committee
it is funny,
that has been
James.
formed by the government here is going to launch a full international campaign to plea for
I mean, again, like we've talked about, you don't have to like Russia or you don't have to agree with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but like it's been objectively not as destructive, like by any metric. There's what has been happening in Gaza and now in Lebanon has been like objectively more murderous, like deliberately targeting civilians in this way, deliberately targeting hospitals and schools. It doesn't mean that everything is great, that Russia's this moral army or moral actor, but it's been objectively worse by any stretch of the imagination.
Assistance from governments in the region as well as aid organizations. So there is a sense that things are already at the brink and they are very, very worried about whether or not they will be able to help the residents of their country caught in the middle of this conflict. But they are trying their best. People are shocked, they're angry, they don't really understand why this is happening. One person who is staying at our hotel, who was displaced as well, said last night to me that we don't want to turn into another Gaza. That is not what we want here. This is not something that the Lebanese people want to see happen to their country. So they're very, very worried. They're very scared. They are displaced. Many people don't have the financial means to support themselves. There is a family that I spoke to who moved here from Marjayoun in the south. The gentleman who is the father of the husband, he said he's driving a taxi all day to provide any kind of income for his family. So things are very, very dire in Lebanon, and these attacks are only driving home the point that there is really no end in sight in this conflict.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Dolsa Jabari reporting to us from Beirut. Let's now speak to Heba Al-Ashkar, who is in the Burj al-Barajneh camp. This is a Palestinian refugee camp just a few minutes away from where the blast took place. She joins us by phone. Can you please explain what you have been seeing and hearing, what you have witnessed over the past hour?
Well, I'm kind of in a shock right now, but I can describe to you. I was coming back home from work, and all of a sudden you like imagine yourself among thousands of gas bottles, and they exploded all at once. This is minimum of the sound that you can hear when the bombing happens, and you know the way everything shook, and there were a lot of screams, and women were screaming, and children. And it was chaotic, and you just had to get home, you know, because you want to feel somehow safe. And as I was going upstairs, all I saw were smokes and explosions and fire, and you just stand there wide-eyed and like, what is happening right now? And my mom broke down as well, and you don't know anymore, like, what do you want to do or what do you have to do? Am I gonna die now? It was horrible.
And Heba, you are now, I mean, are you now at home? Are you in a safe place?
Yes, it's not safe. I no longer say my home is safe because, you know, like literally you're going up the stairs and you're just seeing explosions in front of you or bombing in front of you, and the smoke was so close, it entered the house. And, you know, we used to say that this place is safe or it's away from the bombing, but it's no longer safe. You know, you have no idea at any moment you can just, like, it can happen to me as well at any moment, you know?
Yes, and we've been, according to the accounts that we've been getting, I understand it's very chaotic for you and you're sort of still dealing with, you're processing what has happened. But, yeah, what was it, can you just kind of take us through what it was like when the explosions took place? Because as we understand it, these were massive explosions and it was a successive, at least five explosions which took place.
They were 12. They were 12. They were 12
explosions.
And, you know, I don't know how am I supposed to describe to you or take you into the moments of which I don't hope you experience such thing. But, you know, it feels like it doesn't feel real, you know. It doesn't. I'm seriously, I don't know how to describe it to you. You just hear something is exploding and the house is shaking and there were smokes everywhere, you know. You just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to describe it to you that to make you imagine such a horrible moment.
Yes, and Hiba, can I also ask you about the people around you at the time of the attack? Did you see people who may have been injured? Was anyone, you know, were they seeking help?
You know, when the explosion happened, when the bombing happened, I wasn't at the place of the bombing, but we were near to it. But the people far away from it, they started running. You know, they wanted security, they wanted safety. So people started running into their houses or.
Dr. Maggot, Americans only measure things in 9/11s. It's like one of the main units of measurement in this country.
And can I ask, I know it's, if you don't mind me asking, because obviously it's some of the scenes that you've witnessed are quite troubling, but did you see any injuries? Because of course we know this is a densely populated area, Dahia, a collection of different neighborhoods on the out.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's very populated. You know, that spot that they bombed, it's one of the places that are known to be heavily populated, and people gather there for a lot of reasons because it's just
Multiple residential buildings targeted.
You know, buildings that
Hezbollah residential buildings.
There are cafes, there are stores over there. People go there all the time, and it's a store and it's a street that connects multiple.
A bad habit of saying, "Oh man, I'd never forget that was my 9/11."
Some places go to that place, you know, go to that street to go to another place. So it's very populated and it's very crowded and
we're all going through a bunch of 9/11s every day.
God help the people that are under the rubble right now, but I can't imagine the horrific scene that's happening right now. And I don't go there, or I ran away from there because I was scared from another bombing that could happen, you know, because you never know what could happen.
Okay. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you speaking to us at this time. Hiba Al-Ashkar joining us there from Beirut.
And don't worry, the United States government is on top of this. Don't worry. Have no fear. The United States government is on this. This isn't an escalation. Don't worry, there's no regional war. Don't worry, there's no regional war going on.
Just called on both sides to not escalate the situation.
There's no escalation.
Yeah, again, that remains to be seen. We're still assessing.
6 apartment buildings in the suburbs of Beirut have been leveled. That's not, you have to assess whether that's an escalation?
You're telling me that. I do not know that to be true. So again, we
How do you
are
not?
still assessing the situation. We are going to continue to have our calls with the Israelis to get more details. I appreciate the question. I hope you would also appreciate that this just happened a few hours ago. So yes.
Just a few hours ago. Just a few hours ago. Who am I? I'm just a spokesman for the U.S. government. I'm supposed to know what the answers are hours after this thing happened? No, excuse me. It's it's just insane. So we can't answer hours after these apartment buildings were bombed in Beirut whether this constitutes an escalation or not. We just don't know. There's no way of knowing. It happened during nap time. Folks, I gotta go. This is a shorter one today, but I appreciate people for tuning in, okay? I gotta go pick up my kid from school. We're gonna eat pizza, watch a movie, and have a fun night over here. Thanks again for tuning in today, folks, and thanks for supporting the show as always and supporting me in the work that I do. I appreciate it a lot.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thai Strim Rob.
Wow. Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Oh my.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Pathogen, thank you for the 28 months of Tier 1. I really appreciate that, Pathogen. Thank you for that.
To mark up the size of the account.
Von Appleteeth Rob gets some stuffed crust for Dawboys.
And thank you, M. Gauntlet, as well, for the very, very generous 10 gifted subs. That is really, really very kind of you. M. Gauntlet. Thank you for that. Okay, so we know what the rule is when I get to 50 subs. I think it's gonna have to be an IOU.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Mustache Imperial, thanks for the 27 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Mustache. I have to go in like a few minutes to go pick up my kid from school. I was literally just trying to leave just now. And honestly, I gotta have something planned in advance. It never works out when I haven't thought about this in advance. You gotta add an extra song, call it interest. We'll see about that, okay? We'll think about it and we will talk about that. I will think about what I want to do there. Okay? I don't even know what I would do right now. No idea what I would do. I've had nowhere near enough sleep to be doing singing right now. So, okay, it's an IOU. It's an IOU on the singing. All right? I hope that's acceptable. I hope that's all right. But I really appreciate you all for supporting the work that I do here on this channel. His word is his bond. As you know, I always follow through on all my promises. Every single time, without fail. Oh boy. Call him old reliable. 12 at the latest. That's right. That is right. And I came on here at 12 o'clock p.m. sharp, as you know today, folks. As you know. I showed up at 12 p.m. sharp, right on time, right on schedule.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I don't even know I have no idea what I was saying. I have to have, it's been a while since I've gotten there. I have to have something in my back pocket. Cook on it this weekend. Okay, we'll think about it. As Rob always says, well, it's 12 o'clock somewhere. Exactly. I literally said that today. Almost as reliable as a used Canadian Subaru. Listen, my Subaru is fine now, okay? It just had a few little hiccups. It had a few little hiccups. And now it's okay. Now it's good. They just don't make Australian cars like they used to. Song Citizen Mambo number 5. That's a good one. Great song. Oh, it's my Diego. It was my desktop audio slider was tuned down. Okay. Once again, reaching out a helping hand to some of the smaller streamers here on Twitch with this raid here. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in today and for supporting the work that I do. Really, it means a lot that people support the work that I do on here. More than you could know. It really does. Good chatting and stay strong, everyone. Thank you again, Carnoba, as well. And thanks to everyone for supporting this program. Seriously. M. Gauntlet, thanks again as well. Okay, so we're going to see about Monday. We're going to see, okay? We're going to see what happens on Monday. We'll see. Eventually, I'm going to get back to the point where I do this show regularly like I used to. Eventually, one of these days, it's going to happen. Have a nice weekend, folks.